Rocco Hope, co-author of the Web Security Testing Cookbook. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use one of the recipes in the book to demonstrate a vulnerability in a web application. Before we begin, you'll need two free programs, the Firefox web browser available from Mozilla.com and the Firebug add-on for it, available from addons.mozilla.org. Recipe 2-1 in the cookbook shows you how to install Firefox, and Recipe 2-2 shows you how to install add-ons like Firebug. Now, we don't want to abuse a really important application for the purposes of demonstration, so I picked a game on Facebook. Using this technique, we're going to cheat just a little bit in a harmless way. What you'll see, however, is a common technique that works all over the place. Lots of modern web applications fall prey to this vulnerability. The game I picked is Pirates, and the trick I'm going to show you is how to enable a button on the website that the developers have disabled. I'll be able to purchase an item that the game says is sold out. Now imagine this happening in a more important application, such as one where a transaction like deleting a file or locking a user's account is not supposed to be allowed. Here we see the game in my web browser. Notice the item in the middle called a false lighthouse. It says sold out, and the button next to it is labeled build, and it's disabled. What would happen if I enabled that button? Well, let's find out. I go to my Tools menu and open Firebug. Firebug appears as a small window at the bottom of my browser. The HTML tab is selected and I click the Inspect button. With the Inspect button turned on, Firebug shows me the HTML that corresponds to the element under my mouse. I click the 8,000 gold price next to the Build button I'm interested in, and then I move my mouse down into the HTML window at the bottom of my browser. I click the triangle for the TD button, and then for the form element, and finally I scroll down to the Build button that I'm looking for. When I get down there and I look at that Build button, I see that it says disabled equal true. I'm going to change that text, and the button will no longer be disabled. Now, notice what I do. I just take that disabled and change it to foobar. Who cares what it is? It's just no longer disabled. And look, the Build button is enabled. So I click it like I would click any other button. Now here's where I have to make a small apology. You only get one chance to do this, and then the requirements for buying things change in the game. So I had to do this in one take. And it turns out that when I did this, things got really slow on the internet, and I had to kind of cancel my transaction and try it again. The good news is you'll still be able to tell that the first transaction succeeded. It was just very slow responding to my browser. So here you go. I got bored of waiting for this thing to come down. So I view my navigation toolbar, which I hid so I could do this video for you. And I click the X to cancel the transaction. And then I move on down to the Build button and I click it again, thinking maybe my first one didn't work. And I get an error message. Oh gee, maybe that doesn't work, right? No, the error message I got was, hey, you can't buy a second one because you don't meet the requirements now. So when we scroll down and we look at the false lighthouse, you see that I actually own one. So in fact, it worked. So what's the moral of the story? The developers were relying on this disabled equal true to prevent me from clicking that button. Clearly the server side was perfectly happy executing the transaction, but I was not supposed to buy that item because the button was disabled. This is a classic failure in web applications where they expect that a user cannot click on something that's disabled or cannot enter text in something that's disabled. But in point of fact, using a tool like Firebug, you can perfectly easily enable something that's supposed to be disabled. So in your exploratory testing, if you want to make sure that the server side really does not honor invalid transactions, this is one way to actually perform invalid transactions. Fire up Firebug and go enabling elements in the display that were disabled. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and I hope this informs some of your manual and exploratory testing. Look for more videos like this at websecuritytesting.com.